Welcome, dear friend. Tonight, we will journey back in time to a place far from the noise and rush of the modern world. You are about to walk through the lanes of a quiet medieval village, not a place of knights and battles, but a place of simple cottages, slow mornings, and the gentle rhythm of life. This is a story designed not to excite, but to soothe, to guide you toward rest, to help you release the day and sink into a calm, peaceful sleep. Before we begin, let me know where you are from in the comments. I am from Georgia, Athens. Also, do remember to like, subscribe, and share this content with your dear friends. Today, we will wander through dawn's first light, watch the villagers begin their day, share in their quiet work, and rest with them under the starry night sky. There will be no sudden sounds, no jarring surprises, only soft voices, gentle repetition, and the steady rhythm of life long ago. If you are watching this as you prepare to sleep, settle in, dim the lights, let your body relax, allow the calm images and slow descriptions to carry you away. And if you find yourself drifting off before the story is over, that's okay. That is exactly what this story is meant to do. Tonight's video, Life in a Medieval Village, has been carefully written to be slow, meditative, and immersive. Every sound, every image, every word is chosen to bring you comfort. So take a deep breath. The village awaits. Chapter 1. The village at dawn. The first light of dawn does not arrive all at once, but slowly, carefully, as if it does not wish to disturb the deep stillness that lies over the countryside. The horizon begins as a deep shadowed grey. Then minute by minute, the light seeps in, turning grey to silver, silver to blue. The stars fade one by one, until only the faintest of them remain, winking weakly before vanishing entirely. You stand at the edge of the village. The earth is cool beneath your feet, damp from the night's dew. The air carries the faint, earthy smell of wet grass and tilled soil. It is utterly quiet, the sort of quiet that feels almost heavy, like a blanket wrapped around the world. Somewhere nearby, water drips from a thatched roof, each drop landing in a shallow puddle with a soft sound. A rooster crows, distant and soft. Then another answers, closer this time. Then another. The calls roll gently across the fields like a wave, until it seems the whole countryside is waking with them. The village begins to stir. You hear the creak of the first wooden door opening, slow and reluctant, as though the door has been opened the same way for many years. A man steps out into the pale light, his wool cloak pulled close. His breath clouds faintly in the cool air. He bends to pick up a wooden bucket and makes his way to the well. The path is muddy, soft, marked by the tracks of animals and carts. His steps leave new prints. You hear the bucket splash as it meets the water, then the creak of the rope as he draws it back up, hand over hand, slow and steady. From other cottages, more doors open. A woman steps out, shawl over her head, shaking a blanket before draping it across a fence. Another stoops to sweep her threshold with a birch broom, the bristles making a quiet whispering sound against the packed earth. Children peek out, their hair tousled from sleep, their eyes wide and still half dreaming. A thin wisp of smoke rises from a nearby chimney, then another, and another, until the air smells faintly of wood smoke. It mixes with the scent of damp soil, of grass, of wool. The smell is grounding, ordinary, and reassuring. A goose waddles across the path, leaving small tracks behind. Somewhere a sheep bleats softly. A dog stretches and shakes itself awake, its collar jingling faintly. These are not loud sounds. They are small, gentle sounds that feel as though they belong exactly where they are. From one cottage comes the smell of bread baking. It is faint at first, then stronger, filling the lane with its warm, yeasty scent. It smells like comfort, like familiarity, like the promise of a meal that will be shared. You notice the smallest details, the frost still clinging to the fence rails, sparkling faintly in the growing light, the dew on the grass, catching the first threads of sunlight, the way the smoke rises in thin columns before drifting apart. Each detail feels like part of an unspoken ritual, performed every morning, unchanged for years. The sun climbs slowly, washing the cottages in a soft gold glow. You see the thatched roofs glisten with dew, each straw distinct. The lane glistens, reflecting small patches of the sky. A boy appears, carrying a stick, herding a group of geese toward the stream. They honk softly, their webbed feet slapping the mud. The boy hums a tune, off-key, slow and content. You stand still and watch. Doors open, bucket lowers. Smoke rises, bread bakes, geese walk. The pattern repeats, again and again, until it feels like a song, quiet, measured, soothing. An old woman stands in her doorway, leaning on a wooden cane. Her eyes follow the boy and the geese, and then she looks out over the village. She nods once, as though satisfied that the morning has begun as it should. A cart rolls down the lane, wheels crunching over stones. The donkey pulling it moves slowly, patient, its ears flicking now and then. The driver does not urge it to move faster. There is no need. There is never any need. Time here does not hurry. The sun grows warmer, colors deepen, the brown of the soil, the red of a woolen shawl hung over a fence, the green of the grass. Somewhere a child laughs, chasing after a chicken that has strayed too far. A man calls to his oxen. The sounds blend together, soft and low, as though the village itself is humming to life. You take a deep breath, filling your lungs with the morning air. It seems like a mix of wood smoke, earth, grass, and something faintly sweet. You feel calm, grounded, at ease. The rooster crows again. The geese reach the stream and begin to splash. The bread's crust is nearly done. The smell is rich and warm. Soon there will be the sound of bowls clinking, of spoons scraping, of voices murmuring softly over the first meal of the day. The morning is complete. The village is fully awake, yet still calm, still soft. You linger a little longer, listening to the chorus of ordinary sounds, the creak of doors, the splash of water, the rustle of wind in the grass, before closing your eyes and simply breathing. Chapter 2. Morning Tasks. The village, now awake, enters its rhythm of labor. Unlike the hurried pace of modern days, these hours are not ruled by clocks but by habit, by the steady turning of the sun and the weight of custom. What follows is not urgent toil, but measured repetition, a pattern of acts that has been carried out for generations. The day lengthens, but no one hurries. Each movement, each sound, belongs to its place in the unbroken cycle of rural life. The hearths awaken. In every cottage, the first task is to stir the ashes. Women crouch before blackened hearths, blowing softly until a faint red glow flares to life. A few twigs catch, then sticks, then the heavier logs. The air fills with the smell of resin and damp wood giving way to flame. Iron pots are suspended from hooks. Water sloshes as it is poured. Soon porridge simmers with a gentle bubbling, the occasional clink of spoon against pot adding to the quiet morning music. Children sit cross-legged by the hearth, still yawning. One rubs his eyes while waiting for the meal. Another traces shapes in the soot near the stones. The mother stirs, hums a low tune, stirs again. Outside, smoke drifts upward, marking the hearth's revival one by one. At the stream's edge, women kneel with baskets of linen. The water, clear and cool, shimmers under the strengthening light. A shirt is submerged, wrung, scrub it against a stone. The rhythm is endless. Dip, rub, slap, rinse, hang. Wet fabric darkens the wood of a fence rail as it drips. The morning breeze lifting sleeves like slow-moving flags. Children help in small ways. A girl balances a wooden peg in her mouth while handing another to her mother. A boy splashes, pretending to wash a rag while in truth he plays. The sound of laughter ripples among the work, not disturbing but blending into it. Men prepare tools. One sharpens his scythe, drawing stone against steel with deliberate strokes. Sparks gleam briefly, then vanish. Another man repairs a broken cartwheel, tightening pegs with a mallet. The donkey, harnessed nearby, flicks its ears, content to wait. Farther off, wood is split. The axe rises slowly, falls heavily, and the thud carries through the lane. Pieces are stacked, aligned carefully, one atop another. No pile is careless. Order itself is part of the day's labor. Children scatter grain before hens. The chickens cluck, peck, flap their wings. A small boy carries eggs, each balanced carefully in both hands, his face set with solemn responsibility. The family dog follows him, sniffing the air, tails swaying. Cows low from their stalls. They are led to pasture slowly, bells clinking faintly. A goose waddles across the lane, webbed feet slapping the earth, and behind it, a boy with a stick moves them gently toward water. Shared greetings. Neighbors pass each other on the lane. A loaf of bread is offered across a fence. A jug of milk is exchanged for a smile. Words are few, but the nods, the gestures, the rhythm of acknowledgement hold more weight than chatter. The village communicates not by constant speech, but by the slow language of familiarity. Stillness between tasks. When one pauses, the world does not fall silent. It continues humming. A fly buzzes near the window frame. The rope of the well creaks as a bucket is lowered. Wind stirs the drying clothes. These details fill the air, so that nothing is empty, yet nothing is overwhelming. The repetition is itself soothing. Chop, stack, stir, taste, dip, ring, hang. Even when children chase a runaway chicken, the laughter and flapping wings feel like part of the rhythm. Outside, the well, so busy in the morning, is quiet. Its bucket hangs idle, the rope still. Only a soft creak when the breeze moves it. A cart, abandoned for now, stands beside the barn, its wheel propped against a stone. The donkey tethered in the shade, tail flicking lazily against flies. Even the geese, noisy at dawn, are quieter now, settled near the stream with their heads tucked beneath their wings. You walk the lane and notice how the village itself seems to breathe, slower in this hour. A woman sits on a stool with her spindle in her lap, but her fingers move more slowly now, the thread twisting at a gentler pace. An old man leans against a fence, pipe in hand, though it smoulders more than burns. He watches the lane with half-lidded eyes, not seeking anything, not waiting for anything, just watching. Farther off, beneath the shade of an oak, a pair of men sit upon logs, talking in low voices. Their conversation is not hurried, not urgent. They speak as though they have all the time in the world. Pauses long between words. A hand gestures now. And then, the head nods. And then the silence stretches again, comfortable, unbroken. You hear the faint hum of bees moving between flowers at the edge of the fields. Their sound is steady, constant, as though they have not paused, even if the people have. Above, a lark sings, its song rising and falling in graceful arcs. The sound carries lightly across the open air, floating above the stillness of the lane. The blacksmith, who struck his anvil sharply earlier, has gone quiet now. The forge smoulders low, the tools resting where they lie. The sound of metal has given way to the sound of nothing at all, only the occasional shuffle of feet or soft cough from somewhere unseen. The sun filters differently through each part of the village now. Through a narrow window, it falls in a golden bar upon a wooden floor, dust motes swirling slowly in its glow. Through the branches of the tree, it dapples the grass in shifting patterns. Upon the water of the stream, it shimmers, dancing in restless flickers. The light itself becomes a kind of companion, unhurried, consistent, patient. You pass by a cottage and see a child curled up upon a blanket, already asleep, thumb in mouth, hair tangled from play. The mother beside her continues spinning wool, but more slowly now, her eyes drifting often to the child, her hands steady, her breath even. There is no rush here. There is only the balance between work and rest. between task and pause. Inside another cottage, the sound of snores emerges faintly. An elder who has drifted into midday sleep, his chair tipped back, his head bent forward. The room smells of stew, of bread, of smoke, of rest. His hand still holds his walking stick loosely, fingers curled around it even in dreams. The lane itself is nearly empty now. The dust lies still. A breeze stirs the laundry hanging on the lines, lifting it gently, then letting it fall. The creak of a shutter somewhere, the call of a distant crow, and then stillness again. You sit upon the bench once more, as you did in the morning. The wood is warm now beneath your hand, heated by the sun. You breathe deeply, the air thick with summer's fullness. Grass, earth, smoke, bread, the faint musk of animals resting in barns. It fills you, settles you, lulls you. Time passes slowly, though you cannot say how much. Minutes or hours, it does not matter. The rhythm of this place is not measured in such things. It is measured in the rise and fall of breaths, in the creak of a wheel when someone passes by, in the way the light shifts inch by inch across the cottages. The longer you sit, the more the silence deepens, until it is not the absence of sound, but the presence of stillness itself. A language older than words, older than the village. The language of pause, of rest, of the world simply existing. The villagers rest because the day itself rests. The sun does not rush. The earth does not hurry. The fields will wait until evening, the chores until the hour cools. Now is the time for stillness, for the body to slow, for the mind to wander. And so you wander too. Your thoughts drifting like the laundry swaying in the breeze, like the smoke curling gently upward, like the bees humming their endless circles. There is nothing to do but breathe, nothing to carry but stillness. And if you close your eyes here, you may feel that you are not outside the story, but within it, part of the rhythm, another presence in the stillness of this midday rest. The lane, the cottages, the fields, the animals, the people, and you, all resting together. Chapter 4. Afternoon tasks. The sun has passed its highest point, and though the village remains warm beneath its steady glow, the edge of the heat has begun to soften. The air is not as heavy as it was at noon. A faint breeze slips along the thatched roofs, slides across the lane, and whispers over the fields. It is gentle, not urgent, but enough to bring relief. Afternoon has arrived with its slower rhythm, its quieter demands. The people of the village stir again. The stillness of midday rest dissolves like mist in sunlight, replaced by the gradual return of motion. Doors creak open, shutters are pushed back, and figures step into the lane once more. Not with the hurried pace of morning, not with the weight of ploughing or harvesting, but with tasks that are lighter, smaller, yet necessary. A woman emerges from her cottage carrying a basket. She bends to gather herbs from the narrow garden that edges her door. The leaves are green and fragrant, their scents rising into the air. Sharp mint, earthy thyme, the faint sweetness of chamomile. She plucks them gently, arranges them carefully, and sets them into her basket. Her motions are not hurried. They are steady, deliberate, measured to the rhythm of afternoon. Nearby, a young boy carries a jug to the stream. His steps are light, his bare feet padding softly against the packed dust of the lane. He kneels, dips the jug, watches the water swirl and glimmer as it fills. He pauses to see a frog leap from one stone to another, the ripples spreading outward in delicate circles. He smiles faintly before turning back toward home, jug heavy now, both hands steadying it. In the fields, men and women return to gentler work. Where morning demanded strength, afternoon asks for patience. They stoop to gather vegetables from the rows, carrots drawn from earth, cabbages cut carefully at the stem, beans plucked one by one. The sound of harvest is quiet. The pull of roots, the snap of stems, the rustle of leaves falling back into place. Each action is small, yet together they weave the fabric of sustenance. Children help in their own way. One girl kneels with her mother, placing each carrot into a basket with exaggerated care, as though each were fragile treasure. Another boy chases chickens back toward their coop, waving his arms wide, his laughter echoing across the yard. The hens cluck and scatter before gathering again, their feathers catching the sunlight like flickers of gold. The smith, who rested at noon, returns to his forge. The fire is coaxed back to life, fanned until it glows again. The sound of hammer against iron resumes, slower now than in the morning, less insistent but steady. Each strike rings out, echoing across the village, blending with the softer symphony of afternoon tasks. The smell of heated metal, mingled with coal smoke, rises and drifts. A weaver sits beneath a shaded awning, her loom stretched before her. The shuttle slides back and forth, thread crossing thread, building slowly, patiently into fabric. The rhythm of her work is soft, a thump, a slide, a pause, a thump again. She hums quietly to herself, a tune with no words, carried as much by breath as by voice. The fabric grows inch by inch, a record of time measured not by hours but by patterns. Near the well, women gather to wash clothes. Their laughter is low but frequent, the kind that rises easily when shared among companions. They dip garments into water, wring them with practiced hands, strike them gently against stones. The garments, pale and dark alike, flutter on lines strung between posts, catching the breeze, filling the lane with colour and motion. A shirt ripples like a sail. A dress lifts and falls like a slow wave. An older man tends to tools, seated on a low stool outside his cottage. He sharpens a scythe with long, patient strokes, pausing often to test its edge with a thumb. The sound of stone against steel is soft, a whispering scrape, repeated again and again. His face is calm, his breath steady, his posture relaxed. This is not labour done in haste but in care, preserving what is needed for tomorrow. Beyond the cottages, a shepherd tends his flock. The sheep graze lazily in the meadow, their wool glowing in the sun. He leans on his staff, watching them with a gaze that is neither tense nor idle, but constant, aware. His dog lies nearby, head on paws, ears pricking only when a lamb strays too far. The bells around the sheep's necks chime faintly as they move, a quiet chorus drifting across the field. As afternoon deepens, the tasks continue in slow, steady rhythm. The village is neither hurried nor still. It exists in balance, its life woven from countless small actions. Each task alone is modest, a pot stirred, a stitch sewn, a fence mended, a floor swept. Yet together they create a harmony, the daily song of a village alive. A woman scrubs her doorway with a rag dipped in water, clearing the dust that gathered there. A boy carries firewood, stacking it carefully beside the hearth. A man mends the wheel of a cart, tightening its rim, wiping sweat from his brow as he works. The air is filled with these sounds. The soft clatter of wood, the hush of fabric against stone, the faint ring of hammer against metal, the shuffle of feet along packed earth. And always, beneath it all, the presence of nature continues. The bees hum in the garden, the stream murmurs over stones, the wind whispers through the leaves. Birds shift and settle in the trees, their calls occasional, unhurried. The world beyond the village, like the people within it, moves at its own gentle pace. The hours of afternoon stretch long, yet they are not heavy. They are filled with small labours, repeated motions, gentle duties that require more patience than strength. The sun begins to tilt westward, shadows lengthen once more, and the village carries on, task by task, step by step. You watch it all. The repetition becomes soothing. the predictability reassuring. Nothing here is sudden, nothing startling. Each sound, each motion, each shift of light is a reminder of continuity, that the rhythm of life, steady and unbroken, has carried through centuries, from one generation to another. As you sit with these tasks, observing them in their simplicity, you may feel yourself drawn into their rhythm. The scrape of stone against blade, the hum of the weaver's shuttle, the rustle of garments on the line, the low murmur of voices, all weave together into a lullaby of labor, gentle, enduring, timeless. Chapter 5. Evening Gathering. The light begins to soften as the sun sinks lower in the sky. Afternoon has passed, and evening edges gently into the village, not with haste, but with a slow unwinding, as though time itself exhales after the long day. The shadows lengthen, stretching across the fields, weaving between cottages, curling along the narrow lanes. The air cools, carrying with it the faint sense of tilled earth, of wood smoke rising lazily from chimneys, of herbs crushed beneath careful steps. Evening is not a moment but a process. It begins with the shift of light, the way the gold of afternoon becomes amber, then deepens toward red, until it finally sinks into violet and blue. Villagers pause to notice this change, even if their hands remain busy. A woman at her loom leans back to glance at the reddened sky through her window. A boy gathering kindling stops to watch the glow touch the tops of the trees. Even the animals seem aware. The hens flutter toward their roost. The geese waddle more slowly toward water. The sheep cluster closer as if called by the approaching dusk. The village gathers, not in haste, but with the steady certainty of ritual. Some families remain near their cottages, finishing tasks before the light fades. Others move toward the central green, carrying baskets, pots, or simply themselves. The air is filled with small conversations, greetings, laughter, the murmur of news repeated from door to door. Evening is the time when the village comes together, not for grand festivity, but for quiet companionship. The women who washed garments at the well now carry them back, still damp, draped across arms or slung in baskets. The smell of soap lingers faintly. A man walks with his child balanced on his shoulders, the child's hands gripping his father's hair, the child's laughter bubbling above the low murmur of voices. Two neighbors speak about the weather, pointing to the sky as though its colors hold some secret about tomorrow's work. Fires are lit more often now, each hearth sending its own thread of smoke into the cooling air. Together, they weave a veil above the village, a sign of warmth, of comfort, of the evening meal. You can smell it too. Bread reheated on hearths, stews thickening in clay pots, herbs added carefully, their aromas drifting outward. These scents mingle, becoming the fragrance of evening, familiar, reassuring, ancient. On the central green, children gather first. Their games are simple: chasing, hiding, laughing. They tumble through the grass, their shouts echoing, then softening as the air cools. Some play at being knights, sticks for swords, while others pretend to be farmers or shepherds, mimicking the tasks they watch their parents perform. Their play is not loud enough to disturb, only a background hum, a younger echo of the village itself. Adults gather nearby, speaking in low tones. They sit on low stools or simply on the grass, sharing the comfort of company. The last sounds are gentle: a door closing, a child yawning, a dog barking once before settling. The flute's final notes linger before silence resumes. The fire's glow remains, flickering softly. Evening has gathered the village and held it close, and now it releases it again, back into rest, into quiet, into the arms of night. Chapter 6. Nightfall. Night comes not as a sudden curtain, but as a long and gentle descent. It creeps slowly across the fields, flowing first through the woods, where shadows deepen into true darkness beneath the trees. It touches the meadow grass, dimming their colors, softening the brightness of green into the subdued grays of twilight. Over the cottages, the sky shifts gradually, from pale blue into deeper hues, until the first stars appear, tentative and few at first, then scattering themselves across the heavens in quiet brilliance. The villagers feel the change in rhythm before they see it. Their bodies know the hour. Work slows, voices grow quieter, and movements take on the languid weight of a day nearly done. The last sounds of chores, the creak of a cart, the thud of a door, the last strokes of a scythe set aside, drift into silence one by one, as though each task gently concedes to night. Inside the cottages, the light shifts too. Candles are struck, flames flickering low and golden, spilling warmth across wooden walls. In some homes, the hearth is coaxed back to life, logs set carefully so that embers glow again, crackling into flame. Smoke curls upward, escaping through narrow chimneys, its scent carried into the cool air beyond. From outside, one sees the faint glow through windows, small squares of amber scattered against the darkening lane, each one a beacon of shelter. The village lane, once filled with the shuffle of footsteps and the murmur of activity, is now quiet. Only the soft tread of someone returning late, or the occasional bark of a dog, disturbs the stillness. Shadows cling to every corner, pooling in doorways and stretching between fences. Yet the quiet is not heavy. It is restful. The day has yielded all it needed to yield, and night is welcome. Within the cottages, life continues in its gentler form. Families gather close to the hearth. The day's labors are spoken of in brief, simple words. A child recounts chasing chickens, his hands fluttering like wings as he tells the story. A woman mentions the herbs he gathered, holding them up for others to smell, their fragrance still clinging to her fingers. A man nods toward the tools he sharpened, satisfied with their edge. These are not grand stories. They are fragments, threads, woven together into the tapestry of shared life. Food is eaten slowly, not in silence, but in quiet comfort. A pot of stew is shared, ladled into wooden bowls. Bread is torn by hand, passed from one to another. Cheese, stored carefully, is brought out in small portions. The meal is not lavish, yet it is enough, and more than enough when shared among family. The sounds of eating, the scrape of a spoon, the crunch of crust, mingle with the soft murmur of voices and the occasional burst of gentle laughter. When the meal is done, the bowls are set aside, cleaned in simple fashion. Night in the village is not merely the absence of day. It is the fulfillment of it. It gathers all that has been done, all that has been spoken, and draws it into rest. It is not a conclusion but a continuation, the promise that morning will come again, that life will repeat its rhythm, that the cycle will endure. And as you listen, as you linger in this stillness, you may find yourself surrendering to it. Your eyes grow heavier, your breath deeper. The world of the village, its cottages, its fields, its lanes, becomes a soft, enveloping dream. The night welcomes you, as it welcomed them, into the deep and timeless rest. Chapter 7. The cycle continues. Morning comes again, as it always does. The wheel of time turns, steady and certain, and the village awakens once more. The darkness softens first into shadowed blue, then into pale grey, then into the muted gold of dawn. Over the fields, mist rises, soft veils that blur the edges of hedges and fences, that drift above the thatched roofs, that linger just long enough to remind every watcher of the mystery of night. Slowly, the mist begins to thin, revealing again the familiar shapes of the world. The cock crows, his call sharp against the hush of the morning. It is answered by other sounds, the bleating of sheep stirred from sleep, the shuffle of hooves in the byre, the quiet clatter of a door pushed open as the first villager steps into the chill air. Dew sparkles on every blade of grass, catching the dawn light like scattered jewels. The world seems washed clean, renewed, made ready for use. For those who live here, the renewal is not new. It is ancient, expected, and yet no less necessary. Life is a circle, a rhythm repeated endlessly. Work and rest, sowing and harvest, hunger and feast, day and night. Each person in the village is carried by this rhythm, sustained by it, surrendered to it. They do not need to ask whether it will continue, for it always has. And so they rise, stretch stiff limbs, and step forward into the cycle once more. The daily wheel. As the sun climbs higher, the tasks return as if summoned by its light. Men and women alike take up the duties laid down only hours before. In the fields, the same furrows stretch outward, awaiting the touch of hoe and plough. The same tools lie ready, worn, but steady. The same animals shuffle and stir, looking to be fed, tended, and led. What has been done before will be done again. There is no sense of futility in this. Repetition is not burden but sustenance. Every act, every turn of soil, every mended fence, every loaf kneaded and baked, is both echo and promise. The children watch, learning by imitation, by the gentle correction of parents who know not to rush what is already eternal. To the outsider, it might seem that nothing changes, but to those who live it, the cycle holds variation as subtle as breath. One day's sky is bluer, another's breeze sharper. One morning brings songbirds in chorus, another the silence of weather pressing in. One loaf rises higher, one stew tastes richer. Repetition does not erase difference, it frames it, holding each day as both familiar and unique. The circle of seasons. Beyond the day-to-day lies the larger turning, the seasons. Even now, as morning brightens and the sun warms the earth, the villagers sense not just this day, but the place of this day within the year. Spring, summer, autumn, winter, each arrives with certainty and its own demand. In spring, the soil softens, green pushes through the brown, lambs bleat in the meadows. Work is urgent, filled with hope. In summer, light stretches long, crops swell, fields shimmer with ripening grain. In autumn, the harvest comes, both celebration and exhaustion, the storing away of life for the cold to come. Winter, long and deep, is endurance, the fire stoked high, the meals made from stores, the stories told against the dark. And then spring again. Always spring again. The villagers do not resist this wheel, nor do they dream of stepping off. The cycle is the measure of their existence, the rhythm by which they live and die, by which they are remembered. Continuity across generations. Children born into this life find themselves woven into the fabric without effort. They watch, they imitate, they repeat, until they too are adults guiding younger ones. The elders, seated by the hearth or walking slowly along the lanes, carry the memories of cycles long past. They speak of harvests in their youth, of winters harsher than any now remembered, of summers filled with abundance. Their words are not merely recollections, but threads that bind past to present. And when they pass, the cycle does not falter. Their children step forward, their grandchildren after them. The fields do not cease to yield. The sun does not pause in its rising. Life continues, uninterrupted. Death is not an ending, but a passing of place in the wheel, the eternal return. And so, morning becomes day, day becomes night, and night becomes morning again. The cycle continues, not as repetition alone, but as reassurance. Each dawn promises another chance. Each dusk gathers the labours safely in. The villagers rest not because they have finished, but because they know they will begin again. Even in hardship, this cycle sustains them. A poor harvest does not undo the turning of the earth. A sickness may claim some, but the children continue to run through the lanes. laughing, carrying life forward. The rhythm endures, larger than any single person, larger even than the village itself. To listen to it, to dwell upon it, is to feel the slow and steady heartbeat of life. It is not fast. It is not loud. It is quiet, measured, and sure. It is the lullaby of the world itself, and it carries you with it, gently, unceasingly. Meditative repetition. The cycle continues. The cycle always continues. The plow turns the soil. The seed meets the earth. The rain falls. The sun warms. The green grows. The harvest is gathered. The bread is broken. The fire is stoked. The story is told. The bed is laid. The night falls. The morning comes. Again and again, without fail. Again and again, without end. And as you hear it, you may feel yourself soften into its rhythm. Each phrase, each repetition, draws you deeper into its quiet certainty. There is no need to resist. There is no need to hold. You are carried, as the villagers are carried, in the unbroken turning. You are part of it. You have always been part of it. You will always be part of it. The quiet beyond the cycle. And now, dear friends, we have walked together through an entire day in the life of a medieval village. From the still hush of dawn to the soft surrender of night, we have seen how life unfolds here, slowly, patiently, unchanging. We have seen the fields and cottages breathe in the rhythm of work and rest. We have watched as doors opened, smoke rose, bread baked, and animals returned to their stalls. And now, as night deepens, we find ourselves in a moment of stillness, where the world exhales and holds itself gently in silence. What lingers most is not the tasks themselves, not the baking of bread, nor the sharpening of tools, nor even the washing of linens or the turning of soil, but the rhythm beneath them all. That rhythm, soft and eternal, has cradled the lives of the villagers for generations. It is not hurried. It does not end. It simply continues, like a great wheel turning beneath the surface of things, carrying each day into the next without fuss or fanfare. The cycle is what matters. The cycle is what endures. It begins with the quiet of dawn, where the first pale light touches the roofs of cottages, and the first rooster calls across the fields. It continues with the stirring of hearths, the creak of doors, the slow gathering of men and women to their tasks. It flows through the long hours of work, where hands move steadily, doing what must be done, repeating what has been repeated 1,000 times before. The village, as you have seen, is not a place of change, but a place of return. Each dawn mirrors the last. Each task folds into the next. Every evening settles into stillness, and every night drifts quietly into dreams. It is not a tale of beginnings or endings, but of a circle, unbroken, enduring, familiar. Now, the village rests once more. The sky has deepened to twilight, its pale gold slowly replaced by the soft blue of night. One by one, the shutters close. The smoke rising from chimneys dwindles, fading into the dark. The animals have been fed and watered. The tools are stacked neatly, waiting for tomorrow's hands. The bread has been broken, the bowls washed, the benches emptied. From the stream comes only the faintest murmur of water. From the fields, only the hush of wind moving slowly through tall grass. A single lantern flickers in the lane, swaying gently in the breeze. The sound of footsteps grows fewer and fewer, until at last there are none. The stillness deepens. Inside the cottages, hearths glow softly, embers red against the shadows. Children curl under woolen blankets, their breaths slow, even. A mother hums quietly, almost under her breath, a tune she has known her whole life. The sound is not meant for performance. It is not meant to carry. It is only meant to soothe her child, herself, the night. The older folk sit silently near their fires, not speaking, not working, simply resting. Their eyes drift half closed, lids heavy. The flame dances in their gaze, soft and steady, until finally it fades into the quiet darkness of sleep. Above the village, the stars return. At first one, then another, then thousands scattered across the sky like grains of pale sand. The moon lifts itself gently over the rooftops, its light soft, silvery, cool. The whole village is bathed in it. The cottages, the lane, the fences, the fields. Nothing stirs now. Even the breeze has calmed. You stand at the edge of the lane once more, looking out across the quiet rooftops, the silent barns, the still fences. It is as though time itself has slowed, holding the village in its arms, cradling it in peace. And you realize as you watch that this is not the end of a story. It is simply a pause. Tomorrow the same dawn will come. The same doors will open. The same sounds will rise. The cycle will continue. The people will rise again. The well will give its water. The bread will bake. The fields will call. And when the day is done, the village will return to its stillness, as it always does, as it always will. For now, you need do nothing more. There is no rush, no task, no unfinished duty waiting in this place. Only the rhythm, the return, the gentle turning of days. You may rest as the villagers rest. You may breathe with them, slowly, evenly, letting the calm settle over you like a blanket. Close your eyes if you have not already. Let the quiet surround you. Let the rhythm of this village, the rhythm of fire and water, of bread and earth, of dawn and dusk, guide you into rest. And if you drift into sleep now, know that you are safe, that the story will keep on turning without you, and that when you wake, the cycle will begin again. Thank you for walking through the lanes with me. Thank you for listening to the quiet, for noticing small things, for breathing in the stillness. Good night, dear friends. May your dreams be calm. May your rest be deep. May your night be long and peaceful.